welcome to another daily live webcast called Jenn Cast, the live show that happens Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Today, we're actually going to be talking about Thematic Thursday, right? That's our theme for Thursday. We pick one topic to talk about, and we're going to talk about empathy. And the reason why is because we've got the SpillNow.com founder, Heidi Alstab, who is here today. She's here to talk about her startup, Spill. And here's her with her co-founder. We're going to talk about that shortly. Spill allows users to spill about their life anonymously and receive unbiased feedback from their peers, and they just came out with an app version about it. So, Heidi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
So
Thank you for having me.
Heidi, you're on the West Coast, right? So you're
Yes.
in San Francisco, but you're originally from the Midwest, and you went to college in Wisconsin, you were saying?
Yep.
Now, and that's where Spill was really born. So tell us more about Spill and the background behind all of it.
Yeah. So as you said, Spill is a peer support network for mainly young adults. So you can go on there and spill about whatever's going on in your life and get advice from peers who have been through a similar situation. So if you're going through a bad breakup or having problems with your roommate, or you maybe feel homesick, whatever it is, you spill about it, and within about 24 hours, you get a handful of perspectives from other people who can relate. So I started it in college. I was just going through a hard time in my personal life. I didn't want to bother my new friends with my personal problems. And I remember just thinking, like, everyone has to be going through hard times. We just all keep it bottled up because we're trying to act so tough and cool and grown up in college. And so came out with this idea, did a student org fair booth, and a bunch of people signed up to be responders and to help me get it off the ground. And from there, it just kind of started spreading. We expanded to a few other campuses. And by the time I graduated, I decided I had to do it full time. And that's where, about 9 months after I graduated, I stayed in Madison, Wisconsin. And then we got into Techstars, moved to Boston, and that's where it kind of took off.
That's crazy. Let's back up a bit. So at one point, this is you building your company all by yourself, right? So it's just you as the sole founder, and you're starting this in your college dorm room. So first of all, how are you able to do that? I mean, do you have a coding background? What were you going to school for?
No, absolutely not. I actually didn't choose my major until senior year. So I was a little delayed on that part. I don't know. I actually, the first website was just a Google site, which my mom could make. You just kind of fill in the blanks. And after that, we had won some grant money. So I had just a contractor out of Madison build the first site for me, just a WordPress site.
Was the grant money through your school?
Yep.
Okay.
Just like a few $1,000s seed money. So, but yeah, I think for me, the way I got it off the ground or had time for it was kind of a therapeutic activity in itself. So by me pouring my soul into this and being able to help others, I was actually kind of solving my own problems and kind of self-medicating. It was pretty cool.
Well, and so you were actually, so you're starting this website, and one of the articles, I forget where it was that I read about it, you were saying something along the lines of you were having troubles, like you said, as a college student, you went to the counselor, and essentially they said, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it was the week before finals week, actually, when I was going through a breakup and actually struggling with depression, all this stuff. And I called them for help, at the bottom, my complete low. And they just said, we can get you on the waiting list. It'll be about 2 weeks. And I remember just thinking 2 weeks from now, it's the day before Christmas and I'm at home with my family. This isn't going to help me. And in reality, I didn't really want to talk to them. I wanted a peer's perspective. I didn't want to sit in a room with a counselor. I mean, counseling's great and whatnot, but at that time, it wasn't what I was looking for.
Well, and Corey brings up, what do I do if I want to spill publicly? Because this is a common thing especially for young women. I feel like I used to coach a drill team out of college, and these girls, 14 to 18-year-olds, they'd friend me on Facebook, and I'd always be like, oh gosh, should I really do this? I don't want to see what they're talking about. And they would go on Facebook and air out, they'd essentially seek, and that's like the third time I said essentially, they'd seek empathy from their peers and just spill all of their dirty laundry out onto Facebook, out in the public. And so, what made you want to do this privately? Because this is something that I think a lot of schools already do, right? This idea where you have a peer group that acts as counselors, where you can meet with someone, which again is in public. You're seeing your name. What was the reasoning behind keeping it private?
I knew that people wouldn't be real and candid and open, like they wouldn't have the right motives if it was public. When you're spilling on Facebook, part of it is linking to your identity, or attention seeking, like you're saying. But when you're doing it anonymously, you can be yourself. You can let the true issues out. And I knew that people in college, like a lot of colleges, like you said, have peer-to-peer support groups, but they're in person. They're kind of like group therapy meetings. And a lot of the people I knew wouldn't ever attend something like that because they were just too nervous, too self-conscious. They didn't want to be in a room publicly with other people they didn't know. But if it's something that's accessible from your smartphone or from your laptop, it's a whole different story.
Well, okay, so now you built this app that's helping you solve your own problems and helping your student body also solve their problems. And then you met someone, a friend of a friend connected you with Michelle Lee, who is now your co-founder, and she was building something similar. So what made you combine forces? Because you brought her on as a co-founder, you stuck with the same brand, right? It was always Spill?
Yep. Yeah, she was working on a company called Mama Bread, and it was essentially the same thing, a safe, confidential place where people could get support and empathy and whatnot. She had a lot of college kids in there, and it was more, I think it was peer-to-peer, but like the Mama Bread, the moderator was kind of the counselor, almost like the Dr. Drew or whatever. And she is an amazing marketer, brander. She worked at Apple for a while. And that was exactly what I needed in a co-founder. I could do the execution and the fundraising and all that jazz, but I needed someone who knew how to get the word out and make a cool brand that people would actually use. So it was perfect timing. She was about to take another job when we met for coffee, and I was about to throw in the towel and say, I can't do this alone. So yeah, it was really fate.
So now you have Michelle on your side, and the two of you have now how many people on your team?
Just us, and then a bunch of interns.
A lot of people that are helping you, and you're raising money through Indiegogo right now, crowdfunding, and it's to bring on 20 new schools, right?
Yep.
So why do you take that approach too? That was something that interested me. I think how much money was it per school to get it? Something like $400 to $500 a school to really help them or to facilitate Spill being on the school. Why do you take it per school? Why do you do it like that?
Yeah, it's a way for students to band together to make something happen on their campus. So in reality, the $500 is going towards like marketing outreach for them, like getting swag and getting everything set up. So we're facilitating a way for them to fundraise rather than doing pizza sales, or T-shirt sales. So, in the past, we actually sold directly to the colleges, and they would push it out as kind of a mental health resource. The problem is when you do that, it feels to the students like it's coming from the man,
Yeah.
So we actually found that they didn't want to use it as much. They like it better when it's kind of a grassroots thing going on their campus. So yeah, that's why the approach has changed to be just a smaller fee, like really the bare minimum of what they need to get going.
So now it's an app. So when did that happen? Was that just recently?
Yep, we just launched the mobile app like 2 days ago, which is so exciting.
Now, is this all still funded by the initial Techstars?
Yep.
Okay.
So we got investment from Techstars, and then we raised about $650,000 in angel money a few years ago. It was just covered by the press recently, but yeah, so still going off of that, and then just some like Indiegogo and some webinar revenue on the side.
Well, all right. So you're I'm assuming a good chunk of that went into creating this app, because it's a beautiful app too. I was looking through it and it just looks really easy to use. It's definitely something that I think the young people would be interested in or be cool with checking out. So as far as Spill goes, we've had on a couple startups that deal with the idea of sharing online and getting a positive feedback or creating that positive environment. How does Spill keep it positive? Because it feels like if I put something out there, even if it is anonymously, that it could have that potential for some kind of bully coming back and saying, you're a whiner, shut up, or something offensive. So how do you keep it that safe environment?
Yeah, I think it's really just our initial community that had this kind of strong tribe force that self-regulated. Like I saw someone posted something that was like, follow me at Michelle, whatever, on Instagram. And someone wrote back, this isn't a place for that. You know, they're very protective. And I think part of it is because most people sign up to be responders first, and then within a month become spillers themselves. So it's kind of, they're on both sides of the table, and they're not going to let stuff go wrong on either side. They're very protective. But yeah, I mean, there's always a potential for bullying or for inappropriate comments. People can flag things as inappropriate, and if it's flagged 3 times, it actually removes the comment and puts the person on pause or freezes their account. So there are little kind of self-regulating ways in there.
And how long have you been doing this too, by the way?
Since 2009.
Wow. So, I mean, you've had years of listening to feedback and hearing what people want. So I'm sure the app is really made to the community so they feel like they have ownership over it too. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's super simple. It's from the app, we wanted you to be able to spill, respond, and read spills, you know? And so there are no other frills in there. And it's very first edition, but it's doing the job, and I've been really happy about the response so far.
So now you're also so you're dealing with college campuses now, and then you said you're bringing it to high schools on the Indiegogo campaign, but you also have, I saw you mention something about an area for entrepreneurs to spill anonymously and allow people to give them feedback. Is the feedback anonymous as well?
Yeah. You can have a pen name. So if you want to kind of build up a following or whatever, you can do that. But in general, it's anonymous.
Well, and I thought that was a great idea because over the summer, I think it was last summer, we saw the Tumblr, you know, that anonymous Tumblr blog that came out that the guy was saying, I've got, what was it, a month to live or something like that, and then his company was going to close, and he shared anonymously, and I feel like that was very therapeutic for him. But at the same time, wouldn't it have been awesome if he could have gotten feedback straight back, but it was on his Tumblr, so it wasn't as conducive, except for like the you know, the articles that were written in response to it. So I thought that was an awesome idea. But you also are building something for military, and now YFE has a very strong military wife following. So what are your plans with Spill Now and spillnow.com and the military?
Yeah, so I mean, we need to get more funding in order to launch this, but we want to make a few groups, a group for veterans to connect around things they're going through, a group for active duty servicemen and women, and then a group for their spouses. And we had a veteran intern last summer just do research. The entire summer, he just did research on what the best military spill would be. And he interviewed about 500 veterans, and 70% of them said they would use it if it was a place for only veterans. Their concern really is that it's a closed community, their stuff isn't publicly published on the internet, and that they're only getting advice from fellow veterans. So in order to do that, we have to go through some verification steps to let people into the community, which will take a little more time and resources.
Can you apply for government funding if you do that?
Yes, it's just going to be a long, strenuous process.
Yeah, I bet. I know. I was in hosting and hearing people talk about, especially if you're in military and you're hosting military information, just the server requirements that you have to go through. While it's very lucrative, at the same time, it's a huge headache. So good luck with that. It seems like an awesome idea as far as serving the military community, because you hear about so many things that are going on with like the mental instability of what happens when they come back. So the last part I wanted to ask about, because we also have a large following of counselors, life coaches, that type of a thing, that deal with either young women or people that are going through issues in their lives. So how would they be able to, is there any point in Spill that you help people get connected with professional help?
Yeah, so for crisis-related situations, we do get people in touch with crisis lines, obviously, but for kind of the gray area where it's like you should be dealing with a professional, we don't currently have any referrals. But I've been wanting to build out kind of a place where people could go through a list of accredited counselors. The only issue is that I think it was 60% of our users said they use Spill because they want a peer's perspective. So it's like, if we create a counselor community, I'm not sure it would get used as much as it should. But any counselors or life coaches that are interested in either doing a blog post on there or, just connecting around how we can get them out to the audience and better serve our audience, you're welcome to email me, Heidi@spillnow.com.
All right. And Heidi, to end, what's your advice? Because you've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're helping support the youth in America. You have all these grand ideas for moving Spill forward, and you seem very passionate and persistent. So what's your advice for your fellow young female entrepreneurs that are just getting started?
One piece of advice.
You're like, where can I start?
I would say it sounds funny, but anchor high. I think a lot of us, as females, we tend to undershoot ourselves, whether it's in expecting a salary or expecting what you can raise or saying, I couldn't ever start a company. But I think if we set higher hopes and anchor higher for ourselves, we're going to do a lot better. You just have to kind of go into the meetings or go into the interviews just knowing you can have it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, thank you for that, Heidi. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about Spill. Where can people find out more about the apps, the site, and all the things that you're doing?
Yeah, you can go to spillnow.com to check out the website. Otherwise, if you just search Spill in the App Store or in Google Play Store, it should pop right up there.
Fantastic. All right, Heidi. Well, thank you again for showing up this morning. It was so nice to have you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, so everyone, when you leave, blah, blah, blah. I need more coffee. You've been watching the daily live webcast called Jenn Cast that happens Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern here on YFElive.com. Make sure that you sign up for our emails at yfe.me/mail to stay in the loop with everything YFE. Tonight, we have another live show. It's a 30-minute show at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern here on YFElive.com. It's YFE Chat, and our guest is Danny J from The Sweaty Betty. She has over 100,000 followers on Facebook. She's going to tell us about the evolution of acquiring that fan, whatever you call it, following, and how she's monetized it. So show up tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern here on YFElive.com. This has been Jennifer Donogh. Hope to see you back here again soon.